you've heard all, well, month long for that matter, us talking about 5 Under 35. So this morning we wanted to bring in our very own MTN's Shannon Newth, who created this whole program.
Right.
So kind of what we wanted to do is just break down this program and talk about how it came about and just kind of the goal of it. So really, what started the whole 5 Under 35?
Right, so in 2014, I was thinking, I'm a young adult myself, under 35. We hear a lot of people complain about being in Great Falls. There's nothing to do. It's not a good place to live. So I thought, what can I do as a public figure, as a journalist, to help change that narrative, to help boost morale? And so that's how 5 Under 35 was born, recognizing people who are already here, not necessarily just volunteering a lot, but who have that positive attitude about being in Great Falls and want to see it improve.
Right, and this has been going on for how many years now?
This is its 6th year.
6th year.
Yep.
Now, folks had through, are you still taking nominations
Yes.
today?
We are, yeah. So
Okay.
through the end of today, I mean, my shift runs late, so I'll take nominations up until midnight tonight. We have more than 50 already right now. I'm expecting
impressive.
a lot more coming in today.
Right, right. So who would be like a perfect candidate for 5 Under 35?
Right, so you have to be under 35,
Right.
obviously, or 35 years old, live or work in Great Falls. Those are the main qualifications. It's a little bit, it's hard to say exactly what we're looking for, because again, it's not just about a resume of everything that you've done, it's about that attitude. So what we're looking for is, when you're nominating someone, think about how to capture that, because we're picking people just based on these nominations. We don't call them, we don't interview them, it's just on the nomination. So how does that person really impact others in Great Falls? How do they have that positive attitude about being in Great Falls?
And then on a personal note, what's it like to be able to interact with these kind of, I guess you could call them community leaders in a sense. So what's that like on a personal note?
It's really neat because you build a network. I've made new friends through this on a personal note, but then it's neat to get to connect them to one another, and they network, they become friends, they help build this community of 5 Under 35.
Very cool. So again, one more day for the 5 Under 35 nominations. You can find all those details on our website, krtv.com/5 Under 35.
Out of more than 60 nominations, the final 5 have been selected. Now in its 6th year, I created 5 Under 35 as a way to recognize young adults whose attitudes and actions are making Great Falls a better place to live. It's not a good deeds award, but rather the initiative sheds light on people whose positivity and passion is boosting morale in Great Falls and making it a place young adults want to be. This year's class includes a business owner, an executive director, a general manager, a representative of the law enforcement community, and an addiction specialist. Our honorees come from many different sectors of our community. Now, along with hearing their stories, I ask each honoree 2 questions. What does Great Falls have going for it, and how can Great Falls improve? It's meant to be a platform to hear from young adults and encourage the community. I'll introduce you to our winners this week, starting Monday night. Now, we begin by introducing you to a woman who has deep roots in Great Falls, and from those roots, she's grown a passion for her community that's blossomed into a business.
Oh my gosh, the smell in here is amazing.
Freshly brewed coffee and fresh cut flowers. The 2 aromas welcome customers into Bloom and Bean.
When I was a kid, I used to pretend that I had a coffee shop and a flower shop. It was called Morning Glory Floral. People are figuring out that you can order coffee and flowers together.
35-year-old Rebecca Hannett planted the seeds to make that dream a reality years ago.
When I was in college, I worked in the bars selling flowers and had my own little business doing that, and it paid for my college. So just since then, I've just kind of been gradually building in the flower industry and working my way up, and it finally was time for me to just open up an actual storefront.
The Great Falls native has deep roots in this part of Montana. In fact, Rebecca's grandparents homesteaded here and had the first grocery store in Great Falls.
These are my stomping grounds. This is where I'm from. This is home.
The single mom of 2 says she's overcome many struggles. She wants to be a positive example for young women, not only by employing them, but by empowering them.
Point them in the right direction in life and kind of teach them like some life skills.
That focus of providing a positive environment and life skills is one area Rebecca feels Great Falls could improve.
I'd like to see like more, I think, work programs maybe with the school. I think that would be good if we did like even like a hands-on, like a coffee class or like a floral design class or something for students, just to kind of have like a positive reinforcement.
But as an entrepreneur herself, she's pleased with progress being made.
I I think there's a lot of good up-and-coming businesses and things like that around Great Falls that are kind of realizing that, hey, we do have a younger population here and we need to kind of cater to them.
Rebecca Hannett, one of KRTV's 5 Under 35.
Music for me has always been the thing that I could go to when things aren't going right. It's brought me through a lot of dark times in my life.
Sounds of the symphony have been a constant for Hillary Shepard.
It was just a really positive influence in my life growing up.
Now the 34-year-old Great Falls native is the woman in charge of the Great Falls Symphony as executive director.
It's just all about making the community a better place through this specific thing, and it's through music and arts, and it just elevates everyone's day, everyone's lifestyle, gives them something to look forward to, something to do, and then for kids something to strive for as well.
Although she is a musician herself, Hillary's role with the symphony is behind the scenes, dealing with the budget, fundraising, and ensuring everything runs smoothly. She's also responsible for starting Broadway in Great Falls.
Get your tickets today.
Great opportunity for everybody here to come out and see a professional group. They're the same groups that go to Canada, that go to Spokane and Seattle. So, I mean, really top notch. You don't have to leave.
Get your tickets today.
Just as she brought something new to Great Falls, Hillary says there are many opportunities for people of all ages to create something or get involved in the community.
If it doesn't exist, they absolutely could make it happen here. I think there's just a lot of potential for Great Falls to be able to be a platform for people to fulfill their dreams.
It comes down to each individual person, Hillary says, to make a change for the better and improve our community.
My hope is that people start looking inside themselves and saying, is the stuff that's coming out of my mouth or the stuff that I'm typing on social media, is that harmful to other people or is it helpful to other people? And start asking themselves the question, what kind of person do I want to be? And start living that out.
Hillary Shepard, one of KRTV's 5 Under 35.
I actually came to here. I'm in recovery myself, and I struggled and recover every day with alcoholism.
34-year-old Thomas Risberg traveled a winding path to get to Great Falls. The St. Louis native spent time with Teach for America in Memphis and attended law school in Washington, D.C. It was during his clerkship with the Missouri Supreme Court that alcohol took control of his life.
It took me to places that I never thought I would go. The mental, the shame, the loneliness is really unexplainable.
Years later, Thomas says he couldn't keep it up and made the difficult decision to get help.
I typed in reputable treatment centers in the Rocky Mountains, and Rocky Mountain Treatment Center was one of the places that came up. And so I had never been in Montana. That's why I came out here.
Now he's the director of outreach and marketing at Rocky Mountain Treatment Center, recently launching The Sober Life, a group recovery program focusing on events, fitness, and service.
And trying to, help other folks get into recovery. And it certainly is now my passion.
His passion is fueled by more than his own personal struggles.
My brother did end up passing away. He struggled with heroin addiction for 10 years. That certainly drives me. And we all know, in Montana, right, and nationally, those numbers are staggering, right? The 72,000 drug overdoses last year. It boggles the mind, right? If you look in Cascade County, right? The number of children that are in foster care, and of that, how many are related to drugs, in particular meth. So I consider it a privilege, a really great privilege, to be out here in Great Falls and to start becoming part of this community.
Thomas says Great Falls exemplifies community, and he's fallen in love with what he calls a can-do spirit.
People matter here to each other on a personal level, and I've just never experienced anything like it.
As far as how Great Falls can improve, Thomas says working to attract outside businesses to the family lifestyle and cost of living our community offers, and continuing to build a hub of activity.
As if we had a real centralized place that is the go-to, right? And you know that you can go downtown and any Friday, Saturday night, you just kind of walk around and find something going on.
Thomas Risberg, one of KRTV's 5 under 35.
When I applied, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I can tell you that I love my job and feel very blessed to be able to say that.
Ashley Romeo works with the Department of Corrections, Probation and Parole as an intensive supervision program officer.
Anybody who's been in trouble on traditional supervision as far as drugs or alcohol, if they're not reporting, then they get assigned to me.
The 32-year-old says before moving back to Great Falls from Tucson, Arizona, she was unaware of some of the challenges our community faces. Now her job provides her a different perspective.
What is most challenging, I would say, is a lack of coping skills. People really struggle with that, so then that's why they're so focused on using drugs, alcohol, committing new crimes, because they don't have the coping skills for a day-to-day basis.
Ashley says Great Falls can improve and help people cope by making available resources more known and getting people involved.
I think if people were more aware of the resources that we do have to meet their basic needs, that would be a huge help for them. There's also a lot of boards in our community that need volunteers as far as public safety, child safety, even our park and recreation, which is really important.
Great Falls is home for Ashley, and she believes having a positive attitude can fend off a sometimes negative perception.
To try and get away from that really is us, the younger community, talking about how great Great Falls actually is.
Ashley Romeo, one of KRTV's 5 under 35.
I absolutely love the Great Falls community. I mean, from the moment I moved here, I fell in love with it. How's it going? Who still needs tickets?
It's been 8 years since Ohio native Scott Reisner moved to Great Falls, sight unseen.
How's that chicken?
The general manager of the Voyagers worked for a few different baseball teams across the country.
How's it going tonight, guys? Happy opening night.
Before landing in Montana.
How's it going?
The 32-year-old jumped in feet first and hasn't looked back.
From the moment I moved to Great Falls, I was like, wow, Great Falls downtown has amazing potential, and we just need to do more with it.
When he's not at Centene Stadium,
You just get a little to-go order? I got a little to-go order. Oh, nice.
you can find Scott downtown in N-Bar or The Block, businesses he helped establish.
When we were kind of talking about concepts, we realized that there wasn't really anything like this yet.
And when he's not at Centene or downtown, you can find him helping with many organizations and initiatives, including the Chamber of Commerce, Connect Great Falls, or Choose Great Falls.
There's definitely not a lack of what to do. It's like any other city. You got to kind of make your fun and find your own thing, but it's an easy place to get involved and find things to do.
It's the opportunities to get involved and create something new that Scott appreciates about our community.
I would say the greatest thing about being a young person in Great Falls is it is in some ways, a lot of ways, it's still kind of a blank canvas. Great Falls is kind of growing and just getting its feet under itself.
Scott says Great Falls can continue moving forward if people are willing to get outside of their comfort zones, get involved, and meet new people.
It's continuing to work together as a community to connect all 60-some thousand people that are here. So we're having the same conversation and moving in the same direction. Hey, welcome to opening night. How's it going tonight?
Scott Reisner, one of KRTV's 5 under 35.
Today, we honored this year's 5 under 35 award winners at a special luncheon. We wrap up the initiative each year by bringing the new honorees together with prior 5 under 35 winners and community leaders. This year, we recognized Rebecca Hannett, Hillary Shepard, Thomas Risberg, Ashley Romeo, and Scott Reisner. They each represent a different sector of Great Falls, but are like-minded in attitude and action. 5 under 35 was created 6 years ago as a way to boost morale and start conversation about what's going well in Great Falls and how we can improve as a community, specifically when talking about the young adult population. Now, if you missed any of this year's 5 under 35 stories, you can find them right now at krtv.com.